So welcome back to DecoyNoise and another episode of Am I the Antagonist? And am I the antagonist for not paying for my date's meal? So as always, we read the story in its entirety, we rush it over to Decoy Court where I give you my knee-jerk reaction, then I read over some of the top comments and the controversial comments, then we read your comments down below. Let's go ahead and get to the story right now. So, OP wrote, okay, so this story took place a few years ago, but it's something that still crosses my mind occasionally. When I, a 20-year-old female, went on a date with my friend, a 22-year-old male, it didn't go exactly as planned. We had been speaking for about a week or so prior to going out to dinner somewhere. It was his idea, and he was fairly persistent. He was insanely interested in me while I wasn't interested in him. I figured I'd give it a shot. He had originally wanted to take me to a steakhouse, which I later glad we didn't. We ultimately settled on a local Mexican restaurant. Dinner was going well, and the conversation was flowing smoothly. We ordered our meals, nothing too expensive, and some cheese dip. The bill would have been around $30 or so. After we finish eating, my friend comes out of the complete left field with, "So, I don't exactly have any money. Can you pay for the meal?" To say I was shocked was an understatement. This guy had been begging me to come to dinner with him for an entire week, almost picking out an incredibly expensive restaurant, the steakhouse, knowing he had absolutely no way to pay for anything, not even his own meal. I'll admit that I had enough money to cover both meals. However, I told him I only had enough to cover my own. Had he been upfront about me paying for the full meal before we ever went out, I would have been more than happy to. However, I was blindsided. I took the bill and explained to the restaurant manager that I was only paying for my portion and the cheese dip. He then began arguing with my friend about how he needed to pay for his meal. The manager obviously wasn't going to allow my friend to just leave, so I told him I needed to go. He couldn't believe I wouldn't help him out, and I ultimately unfriended him for putting me in such an awkward and embarrassing situation. Should I have just paid for his and called it a day? I've never been the type of person just to expect people to hand over money and pay for my things, so I don't expect it from others either. Am I the antagonist? So as always, we gotta rush the case over to Decoy Court where I'm giving you my knee-jerk reaction to the situation, and honestly, it just seems like obviously this person was taking advantage of OP. The only thing I would say, I guess we already go into the decoy defense is maybe this wasn't them saying, hey, let's go on a date. It wasn't a date. He was like, oh, like he's been asking for about a week or so about going to dinner somewhere. Hey, are you going to take me to dinner? You want to go to dinner? Let's go to dinner. You're going to take me out? Take me out. And that was the idea. Is it wasn't like the guy was really interested in her. She wasn't interested in them. They were just kind of somewhat friends on some weird level, but then she took it as like, man, this guy's in love with me. I mean, this girl's in love with me. I can't believe how much he wants me. Take me out, take me out. And finally, when they did do it, he's like, I thought you were taking me out. That was a thing. But obviously, the decoy defense, it's just, you know, a made-up story to try to argue the inverse of how I originally feel. But obviously, this one's a kind of cut and dry scenario where, yeah, the guy's trying to just put her in a hard spot, knowing that she's a little bit too soft-spoken to say, hey, look, I'm not going to pay for your meal, like, F off, you got to do this. And he just thought that if he got her in a corner in the idea of, hey, there's a lot of social pressure for you to pay for it, you got the money, I don't, I'm already walking out the door, I'm grabbing my hat, let's go, and then they just thought they'd be able to steamroll OP, but good on OP for actually standing up for themselves and saying, no, I'm not the type of person to do this traditionally, but now you get, like, you know, F off. You're actually in quite the predicament right now. But as always, my decoy court judgment right now is going to be not the antagonist. You know, it's sad to put the restaurant manager in that situation where it's like, hey, look, I'm not really going to arrest you right now, but you got to figure some way to pay this out. Either, you know, call mommy and daddy to get your credit card number so they can pay for your meal, or maybe leave your ID with us and come back and pay us later on, something like that. It's just, it sucks for them, sucks for OP because they probably lost a friend that they were somewhat close to or something like that. But the only person that is the antagonist is, I'm going to go ahead and say, the friend. So as always, make sure we take this short break right now. Leave your comment down below, subscribe with the notifications on, but also check out that second channel, the Decoy Court, where I'm doing more silly stuff. It's going to be more like hand-drawn things. It's really outrageous, but just go ahead and check it out if you like the DecoyNoise channel as well. But let's go ahead and get to the top post right now, which is not the antagonist. Interesting situation. I pondered if I should say everyone sucks here, because although he was the antagonist, you did have the money and you could just unfriend him later for this inexplicably jerkish move. But honestly, what the heck? To quote your own words, he has been begging you to dine with him for a long time. He almost picked an expensive restaurant, and then he goes to dinner with no money? Then he doesn't tell you the situation beforehand and asks you to pay for his meal in the middle of dinner? The nerve. I think you taught him a good lesson. And the one thing that it wasn't running in my head when I originally read the story is, I wonder if this is just rage bait right here. Well, this is what would you say? This is the guy writing the story from the girl's perspective, saying, hey, you know, Reddit sometimes they like to bash on men. I don't know why, but you know, if this was the inverse, where a girl was constantly begging a guy to take him out, like, hey, take me on a date, take me on a date. So the guy was like, okay, finally, I'll take you on a date. Exactly how this story goes. And the girl's like, hey, I don't have any money, but the men should pay. And then he got really upset about that, told the story to other people, and everybody else was like, well, yeah, a guy should pay for the first date. It's kind of, you know, it's a tradition, it's traditional, whatever it is. So that guy got really upset and said, you know what, let me write the same exact story, the inverse, make the guy the girl and the girl the guy, and see how Reddit reacts, not realizing that, no, the person that's asking you to take you on a date or whatever and not having money, that's a jerkish move. So I kind of feel like that would be the scenario right there. Is this is almost like rage bait story. But let's go ahead and get to one more top comment, what it is saying. I may get downvoted for this, but to me, not the antagonist. You always bring enough money to cover yourself unless you specifically know your meal will be covered. The fact that he was tacky enough to pull this off instead of telling you outright or ordering something he knew he could cover makes him the antagonist. And the only thing I would say that I don't agree with this comment over here is the idea they say, you know, I may be downvoted, I'm going to go ahead and go against the grain. Like, what? You're not going against the grain. Like, you know, when people say, put things over in Reddit, unpopular opinions, or it's like, hey, unpopular opinion, I think puppies are cute. You know, like, no one's going to be against your, that judgment right there. So I think, you know, my unpopular opinion is shut up. Let's go to the next top comment saying, oh, this is the controversial comment saying, everyone sucks here. A really, really weird situation, but what? Just pay and get your money back from him. You said he's a friend, right? Have you ever heard of this concept of lending money? Yes, it's incredibly stupid to go eat something without money, but it's not a total stranger. Tell him he's an antagonist, get mad, pay, and get your money from him. And I do completely understand where this person's coming from, in the sense that, yeah, people lend money, people spot each other all the time, like, oh my god, I forgot my wallet, like, can you get me? And they are friends, so it makes sense that, yeah, you lend people money, you take people out for dinner all the time, it's not that big of a deal. But I do understand the idea where it's like, you don't want to be taken advantage of, and that's kind of what this seemed like. Like, this seems like right here, where they just wanted to blindside OP and say, hey, I don't got any money right now, so just go ahead and pay for me, because I'm don't plan far in advance. But let's go ahead and read one more top controversial comment, which is, everyone sucks here. It would be more embarrassing for me to pretend that I didn't have the money than to leave. I could not look a manager in the eye and say, sorry, I don't have the money to pay. I would avoid that at all costs. Part of being the adult is being the bigger person. I would not make a scene over $30. Paying it by myself and blocking his butt would be the boss move. No, I don't think that's the boss move. I think that's the move where you take where I'm too afraid to stand up for myself, so I'm going to be financially burdened by your jerk move, so I can't stand up for myself. But yeah, I'm a boss. I'm a boss because, you know, I buy you things. That makes me, that's not a boss move. No, that's why this person got heavily downvoted over here, because no, there's no way. It's a whole, like, part of being an adult is being taken advantage of. I don't agree with that. Like, the whole thing, everyone sucks here. No, I don't think that you can suck by not letting somebody take advantage of you. I wholeheartedly disagree with that. But I mean, earn yourself the Decoy coin by giving me some feedback down below. Maybe you can tell me why that would be the boss move, and maybe I'm just totally misinterpreting what they're saying over there. But, you know, as always, thanks for hanging out with these very short, abridged DecoyNoise videos. If you're getting this far in the video, make sure you subscribe down below with the notifications on, so you can join in on the discussion right when the video goes up. At 10 a.m. I'll do a Am I the Antagonist video, and probably at 3 or 4 p.m. I'll do just a different topic to discuss. And also, I have the Decoy Court channel. The link is in the description if you want to hang out and watch some different type of content. I'm putting up more animated type stuff. But as always, put this on autoplay and watch the next episode of DecoyNoise coming up next.